with the 2nd Maryland, Pat Priest, and myself, Yvonne DiCarlo standing in front of Herman, one of the major stars of the 40s and 50s, Fred Gwynn and Al Lewis, who you may remember were on Car 54 together, a New York-based show, very, very funny stuff. They came out as a comedy team, and honestly, to this day, I still think some of their scenes, especially when they're in the dungeon or they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, they're hiding out from Lily, are as funny as Abbott and Costello and Laurel Hardy. I mean, really a very, very quality comedy team. The interesting part about, a couple things I'll let you know here, is Yvonne DiCarlo's husband was a stuntman who was hurt very, very badly in a stunt gone bad in a movie called How the West Was Won. His name was Bob Morgan. Well, when that happened, literally, Lily dropped into television because she had been doing movies, the 10 Commandments, she was Sephora, with Cecil B. DeMille, and when she did The Munsters, it was really sort of a step down for her because she was a movie star, and movie stars didn't do television back then. So she had to become the breadwinner for her household because her husband was hurt. And I always thought that was a very, you know, she was a very, very strong woman to do that, and she had her hands full with these two guys from New York because they were practical jokers and they were pranksters, and I think the fact that she was a movie star, they took great fun in trying to annoy her. But she held her own, and it became a really strong matriarch of the family, and I think the fact that she was up against a 7-foot-tall Frankenstein and 6'3" Jewish Dracula with cigars and held her own says a lot about her character. Pat Priest now, this is one of my favorite stories about historical relevance, is the fact that her mother was a very strong person in the 50s in politics. Does anybody know who her mother was? What is that?
Treasury Secretary.
Ivy Baker Priest was the Treasurer of the United States in the Eisenhower administration in the 50s. And Pat never mentions that, but I always do because I just find that to be fascinating that she went from the White House mansion to the Munster mansion in like 2 or 3 years. She went from the East Coast to the West Coast. But anyway, she's a wonderful person, and I thought that was very interesting that her mom used to actually sign the money. That's pretty cool. Now, Fred was 7 foot tall with his makeup on. He was 6'6.5" in his stocking feet. But back then, you know, 7 foot, I was very short, and he was very tall, so it played very well. But you can see Al's a big man himself, and Fred is towering over him. So it really, really worked well, that the incredible height difference. And then one of the things you'll notice when you see Lily is she's always acting with her arms up because she had to establish herself and her space, because otherwise she would have just been dwarfed by the size of these guys. So she really held her own by learning how to act large with a lot of arm and big movements. Next, please. Okay, this is